This album, This Note's for You, very different for you, kind of an unusual, bluesy, swingy direction. Tell me about the album, how you decided to go in that direction.
Well, it just is something that it just sort of evolved from our last Crazy Horse tour. I was doing a little short set. I start off playing acoustic, then I do this little short, little kind of blues kind of set, and then I do the Crazy Horse set. And so, I listened back to the tapes because we record everything, and I listened back and I listened, and the blues thing just knocked me out. I said, God, I was not only was I having fun, but it sounds good. So I said, well, let's grow this. Let's make this alive and make this what we're doing because it's all I want to listen to.
Which makes sense
Yeah.
to go further with it.
Yeah, right.
So then you went ahead and started writing your material, the new material
Well, no,
was all in there.
actually, the way the Blue Note thing started out was with 10 songs that I'd written over the last 20 years, starting back in high school. And I wrote 3 of the songs in high school, and then other songs just in spaces through my recording life, the last 20 years or so. But I never had a band that could do this stuff. I never had the horns, the thing to make it sound right. It always sounded like it wasn't right for one reason or other. So I never did the songs. They had little diminished chords and augmented chords and stuff that half the guys I used to play with it, they don't even know what those are, because we're a garage rock kind of thing, and they couldn't do that. So I never did it. And then I got the right band to do it, and it all just came together. And then I already had all this material, and one of my old friends from high school sent me all the lyrics to the songs I used to do in high school, which I've forgotten about. And so I read it, and I found these 3 blues songs in there, and it all came back to me, And so I found myself with 10 or 11 original songs to do right away. And then that was the beginning, and then I wrote a lot more songs.
You are known, even though I said this is sort of a departure for you, you are known for doing exactly that, making artistic departures all the time. Going from
Depends on who you talk to.
well, how do you feel about that?
I feel good about it.
But I mean, do you think that's an accurate statement that you're constantly going in diverse directions?
Well, maybe it looks like that on the surface, but I don't think so. I'm really doing the same thing all the time. I'm just doing it in different ways.
What
And
is
it's
that?
all just, well, it's just different words used to describe things. It's, it's, uh, I'm trying to get a feeling out of what I'm thinking at the time. And sometimes one type of music is a better vehicle than another type of music to get this out. So that's why I keep changing. And other times what I'm thinking inside, I don't necessarily want to have right out there in front, where I'm going, this is what I think, I'd rather have that be way back inside and have all this other stuff out front. So you really have to listen for a couple of years to figure out what it is I'm thinking, because I don't really want to push it down your throat. So that's music, and the fact that I make music like that, is, that I can be sued for being not commercial because I make music that I really don't want people to hear that much.
I thought what you just said was very interesting, that you have music that you don't necessarily want people to know what it is you're saying. And I read a really interesting quote from you in the Los Angeles Times. Quote, "It may be that my records have alienated a lot of people, which is ultimately the goal of my records anyway, so I don't care."
Did I say that?
Well, Robert Hoburn said you said that.
Well, it's a different, every record's different. The music is like, you're not always talking to everybody. You don't want everybody to always, know everything you're thinking and everything, and I communicate through records.
So you sometimes want to be a little more subtle.
I think so, yeah.
Well,
Some of the things that were on my mind, I don't think should be right out front. They're serious things that you don't want to push down people's throat.
you have a lot of serious issues, I think, on this record. For instance, you have Life in the City, which is about. Did you read the Rolling Stone review?
No.
They took it so out of context. They made it sound like you were saying it was okay for people to be sleeping on the street in the rain. I thought they really took it out of
Oh,
context.
it is? It was okay? Well, maybe it's okay to Rolling Stone. I don't know.
Tell me about
I
that.
haven't read the review.
Do you not read reviews normally?
Sometimes I do.
Do
I
they
haven't read that one, but my mother called me up from Florida and she read it, but she said she asked me if I'd had plastic surgery because she saw the drawing of me that they did. She so that's all the feedback I got.
so well, they're drawings, you know. It's not supposed to be a photograph. But
Yeah,
let's
try to tell that to my mother though.
let's talk about some of the issues on the album. For instance, we'll start off with This Note's for You, the title track, corporate sponsorship.
Well, it's not for me. It's for other people. And that's all I know. That's my music is for people that listen to my music. There's a bond between myself and my audience, and I don't want to abuse that in any way. It's really all I have, in a musical sense.
How about Life in the City?
Life in the city is just really on the surface. It's what it is. It's what the song says. Uh, it's a terrible problem. It's a worldwide problem. It's a terrible thing, and hopefully we'll be able to figure out a way to solve it.
In terms of this album, are there videos that have already been made and videos that are going to be made? What's the situation here?
Tim Hutton and I are putting together a how can I explain this? It's all the songs on the record, and it's the story of the Blue Notes,
Ah.
and it's a long form.
When will that be ready?
I think it'll be ready in about 4 months.
So it's a while away.
Yeah, maybe sooner. I don't know.
So will each song be an individual video and the story will be interwoven, or is it too early to say?
And no, it's not too early to say, but each song will be an individual video, but not in the normal sense of the word video. In other words, it's not we're not telling the story the way videos usually tell a story, and I can't articulate it too much more than that, other than to say that it'll stand as an entity itself, and also the individual songs will stand up. And our goal with this video is to not do what so many videos have done before, which is to destroy the chance to dream. We don't want people to lose the chance to dream with music, because that's what music's all about. And videos are telling people what to dream, and that's wrong. So that's why performance videos are great, because they don't put in these little suggestions. So all of the suggestions that we make about the story of the Blue Notes and everything will be between the songs with other music, which is the roots of the Blue Notes music. The old blues and big bands there will be mini videos between the songs that will show things about the Blue Notes with that source music, you might call it, derivative music of the Blue Notes playing, and then you'll see another song. But you won't ever have an image imposed over a song. You'll see the song, and you'll be able to dream whatever you want while you're looking at it.
It's great. It's interesting that you said you had written most of these songs over a period of as long as 20 years ago.
Most of the ones that I'm performing are that way. However, on This Note's for You, there's only one old song, which is Sunny Inside, which was from 1982. And however, in our show, we do 21 songs. There's 11 other ones, which were the original Blue Note songs. It's gone through quite a growth, really. The original Blue Note songs, the original 10 or 11 that I did before the ones that I wrote for this record, are the ones now that we're working on. It's kind of a gut hodgepodge kind of, I don't know, hodgepodge, that's an American phrase, and it might.
So does that mean there might be another actual Blue Notes
Oh, yeah,
project
yeah.
after this,
Hmm.
which will have the new songs, which will be the older songs?
Yeah.
I think I'm beginning to get this. This is like a maze, right?
That's right. It's all a maze.
You put the listener at this point and you say to them, figure it out and find out what's going on.
And this happened after this.
Right. As long as they listen and enjoy it, that's what counts, right?
That's what I care about.
you didn't read the Rolling Stone review, but one thing that I thought it was interesting was that it called you a frustratingly erratic musician. And then taking that same,
What a
just,
compliment that is.
I was going to ask you what you think of that.
Beautiful thing to say.
Do you think that
I'm
makes,
honored. I'm deeply moved by that.
because it's the other side of the coin of what Robert Hilburn said, which is you're known as the artist who maintains his artistic control and integrity more than anyone with the exception of Dylan. Now, how do you do that? How do you have been able to go ahead and
I
do your,
don't know how you get too bad. Well, I call up Bob and I say, Bob, what are you doing? And then I try to do it just, like a level below that. That's how you do that, I guess. I don't know.
well, no, some artists are not unwilling to compromise.
Well, some artists really don't have anything to compromise with. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what that means. I just said that. But it's different for everybody. Like some artists, it's hard for them to make an album every year and a half. It's hard for me not to make 2 albums a year. I might want to make 3. I've done 3 in 1 year before. I'd like to do 2 a year because I think that's real. That's how many songs I write. I don't want to hold them back. Some may not be as good as others or as commercial as others, but that's not my intention, is to sell records. Obviously, if I sell records, it's great. Everybody wins around me. Everybody, my staff, all the people who help me, they all win when I win. But then, we're not all here just to win, There's more to it than that. And we just want to play, just keep going, do what we're doing.
I was going to say, what is important if it's not winning, and what is success to you?
Success is continuing to keep the process going and to create and to keep it coming out and keep the flow going and keep reflecting on what's happening.
Was Dylan a really powerful influence on you?
Absolutely.
Musically
Still
as a
is.
person?
In many ways.
How about Woody Guthrie? You were at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and did the induction. And I'm interested to know how he influenced you, why you chose to be inducting him.
Well, Woody was, he's like father of the singer-songwriter.
Did you ask to be?
No, they asked me. I didn't even know I was doing it. I went to watch, and they said, Neil, you got to do this. And I looked on the thing, and it said Paul Simon was doing it. On the thing, it said who was doing what, and Paul was there. And I guess it was a misprint or something, but I don't know. They asked me to do it, so I did it. I just did it on the spur of the moment.
You mean right that night?
Yeah.
You didn't even know you were going to do it?
No,
That's pretty amazing.
that's show business.
Really? That's pretty amazing. Another quote that I think is really interesting that you said is the essence of rock and roll. Speaking of, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the continuation, the essence of rock and roll is the flame burning.
We were just talking about the flame burning last night, and we were listening to Tracy Chapman, and she's got the light. And I was saying to Elliot, I want to take her on the road with me because she's got the light. It's an inspiration. She's carrying it. She's the only one that's got it right now. And you can have it, and then it's gone. You don't know why. It gets snuffed out, and then somebody else has got it. And you might get it again. But there's no way to keep it. And you're not, there's no way. It's not in your control. And she has it. And she has it. And there she is. If you want to hear it, this is it. I mean, this is like corporate sponsorship right here. I'm telling you. Okay? Sponsor that.
What is the flame? How do you find it defined?
Well, when you listen to the song, like, and you find yourself going, my God, that's great. That's fantastic. I mean, she's got it. It's real. It's there. There's a feeling. It's something. It's more than music. It's more than it's life, and it's there. And nobody gets to keep it for very long, and then it's gone. You can have it, and it's gone halfway through a sentence.
You've lost it. You've had it
Oh,
it
I've lost it many times and been lucky enough to be around when it came back a couple of times, you know.
Do you know when you've lost it? I mean,
Oh,
can you tell right
yeah.
away?
You can
How do you
tell
know?
you don't really know when you lost it as much as you know when you get it back. You don't really feel it go,
Mm.
but you feel it when it comes back. You just feel this whole light, this whole feeling comes over your whole body and you feel right. Everything you do is right. You can't make any mistakes. And then you wake up one morning and it's over, and that's what it's all about. There's no preconceptions.
You can't make any mistakes. It sounds good. I don't think I've ever had it.
Mhm.
You can't make any mistakes.
Uh-huh.
You said in the same light that keeping that going, that you have to prepare for what you do like a championship fight. Is
Yeah.
that preparing for the road, or is that preparing for recording, or is that everything? To you, the whole thing's a championship fight.
Well, you have to be ready for everything. You have to, if you're going to go out on the road, which is really a good example, you have to be ready to give everything you have, and you have to make sure you really got a lot to give. Because if you go out there and you're not ready to give everything you have, and you're not strong enough to give as much as you possibly can, to go right to the end of the candle, to where it's going to just, melt and be gone, then you're nothing. You shouldn't even be there. Shouldn't even be there if you can't do that. You're just marking time if you can't do that.
So you still believe it's better to burn out than to rest?
Well, you got to get as far out there as you can, and if you're not, then you're cheating the audience. It's not right. People come to see rock and roll. That's what rock and roll is. If you're just going through the paces, then that's not rock and roll. That's what's happened to music today, is there's so much of it is not what I think it is. I mean, I'm one person. Everybody else feels a different way.
But you're the person we're talking to.
Yeah, that's right.
What do you what do you think it is?
I think that I said it. I just said it.
You have, I think, been misunderstood on this, better to burn out than to rust, in that people think it means burn out like, party till you drop kind of burn
Well,
out.
maybe that's not what I mean. And I see the image of a shooting star, a falling star. It's just going so fast, and eventually, but it's the one in the sky you're watching, okay, because it's the only one that's moving. Some of the other ones are twinkling and they're nice, but the one that's going like that's the one you're going to go for. And it may not burn out, or it may, it depends on how long of a trip it's on.
That's interesting. Can you tell me about putting together the benefit up in San Francisco last year, the bridge benefit?
Well, my wife put that together, and it was we're going to do another one, and it's an acoustic evening with people that you love. And we try to take people who you never would see that way and present them only just with their guitar, and just so you get to really see the bare person. And then we don't let any press or any writers or TV or anything backstage. So there's none of that. We have people. That's how we are able to get people that are so famous, and uh, I don't know what their word is, popular or whatever. We're able to get people like that because there's no pressure. The only pressure is for them to be themselves and be with other musicians.
You say you're doing another one. Do you know any of the
We don't
details?
have a set date and we don't have any of the details, but we are doing one this summer.
Will it Do you know any of the people will be coming? Will it be the same people or different?
No, it won't be the same people. It'll be different, but there may be some of the same ones.
That school, the Bridge School, can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's a school for children with severe communicative problems, children who non-oral children. We're trying to teach them how to communicate and how to be able to learn and to communicate to other people that they are receiving information. And there's a lot of people caught in bodies that, and the body that God gave them is just something that you just can't believe that there's a little soul in there that's just burning and thinking, but it's in there. And we're trying to help those people to get through, to bridge the gap, get across by developing with mechanical engineers, by developing an interface that somehow they can use to reach out and communicate with a computer themselves by a yes, no positive, negative response to questions, and developing computer programs which enable them to deal in an independent way.
We were talking about the bridge benefit and the school and so forth, and I was gonna say that you have a personal involvement. Obviously, one of your sons, I believe, attends that school. Is that correct?
Yeah, one of my sons, well, actually, two of my sons have cerebral palsy. One of them has very severe cerebral palsy, but I don't want to. He's a great little guy. He's just a human being, Where he has this condition of cerebral palsy, and the other son, my older son, has a very mild type of cerebral palsy.
You yourself had polio at the age of 6,
Right.
so you really have a lot of very firsthand experience with children having difficult diseases or conditions, or
Yeah, to some extent, I guess I do.
it makes you very involved, obviously, in this
Well, it
school.
gives me an insight into it. My little girl, is just she doesn't have any cerebral palsy or anything.
I'm saying you never read about that.
A little bubbly little 3-year-old girl.
That's great. You had, after all those years later, very recently, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, what's called post-polio syndrome?
Well, that's happened about 30 years after you have polio. So it hit me when I was about 36.
What exactly is that?
Polio is sort of a paralysis thing. It causes your muscles to tense up. So after 30 years of having your muscles tensed up and not being able to relax, they start to break up. And that causes an amount of pain, but because they're starting to break up and they're aging really prematurely. And then you start to get nerve pain and things like that. It's a very painful thing. But then if you grab it on top of it, just like anything else, rather than treating the symptoms, if you treat the problem, and instead of just trying to take pills or something like that to counteract the pain, I started lifting weights and doing all kinds of things like that to strengthen my body to its maximum potential. And, not to become Charles Atlas or anything like that, but just to become very strong and able to accomplish tasks that were part of my life, such as carrying my little boy around who weighs 45 pounds now, and being able to make sure that my wife doesn't break her back trying to lift him up off the floor and things like that. And just, God, I hate to make it sound like like my children are anything other than just the wonderful little beings which they are. And, there's really no difference between the three of them. Two of them have cerebral palsy and one of them doesn't, but they're all the same to me. They're just beautiful little kids, even though one of them is taller than I am.
But this thing that happened to you, this post-polio syndrome, you actually couldn't lift your guitar.
I couldn't bring it up over my shoulder. I had a rotary cuff problem here, and it was extremely painful. So I worked on that really a lot, and it takes maintenance every day to continue to. I have to do some things to make sure that I maintain the muscles that are there and keep them strong.
Did you ever feel, my God, this is going to prevent me from doing what I love to do?
A couple of years ago, I could feel a definite possibility from that. And my hands was getting numb and different things. But that's nothing. I mean, that's past. That's done with. I dealt with that. And I'll deal with it as it comes up, and I stay on top of it. It's not a big deal. It's something everyone has things about their own body that they deal with, and everyone has their own thing to deal with in life. So I don't want to make anything that's happening with me on that level seem like anything other than just normal things that happen to people.
And I think it's very inspiring that you did it all through, like you said, exercise, and that you.
Boy, you don't need chiropractors and all that stuff. I mean, I used to go and see them all the time. I get straightened out, and then 2 minutes later, I was all kinky again. And once you get some muscles to hold everything together, things get much better. And it's just a lot. You don't need chiropractors and all that stuff.
Speaking of the guitar, although you are so well known for your lyrics, you are a guitar player and a great guitar player, and your music is, half at least of the expression. How do you feel about the guitar? Do you have a personal relationship with each of those instruments?
Well, I have one instrument that's really a beautiful, beautiful instrument, like Old Black, my guitar. I've been playing for, I guess, 20 years now, the same guitar. And I've worn the paint off of it. I've worn the finish off of it, you know. I know, you know, what parts of it can hurt me while I'm playing it. I know how hard I can hit it, you know, without breaking it. I know all of these things that it, you know, and I just know every little bit of it, you know. It's just really something special. Then I have my acoustic guitar, which is really my wife's guitar, in which I wrote all of the songs except one, and maybe even that one, but I can't remember for sure, that are on This Note's for You. I wrote all on her guitar.
Does she play guitar too?
Yeah.
Obviously, if she has a guitar, she must use it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, and she carried the guitar all around with her when she was young, and when she was, you know, a teenager.
She still has that guitar? That's the one?
Yeah.
Wow. You guys really hang on to your guitars.
We hang on to each other too.
That's real nice. I think that's real nice. You got your first instrument in 1958, a ukulele for Christmas?
Yeah, I guess it was 1958. Yeah, a little plastic Arthur Godfrey job.
Do you remember getting
Yeah, yeah.
Did you love it a lot?
Yeah, I dug it. My old man used to show me chords, and he would sing songs, Canadian folk songs to me, showed me the chords and stuff.
And then when did you know, I like this little plastic ukulele so much that I want to have a
A
guitar.
big plastic ukulele.
Right. I mean, when did that sort of connection? Do you remember making that connection?
Well, it just kind of grew. I went from a ukulele to a ukulele banjo, and then to a baritone ukulele, and then to a guitar, and then to an electric guitar, and then to a better electric guitar, and then
On and on.
more and more.
And into what? Didn't you go to the Greenwich Village scene for quite a while? Play the
Well, I went there for a while. Mostly the Yorkville village scene, though, in Canada was where I sort of, that's one of the places I passed through.
and formed the Minor Birds.
Didn't form them. I joined them with Rick James and it was called Ricky James Matthews III at that time, and Bruce Palmer.
What was that group like? That must have been, I can't even imagine. It must have been interesting.
Uh, that was great. That was Ricky was kind of like a Mick Jagger influenced him a lot. We were very funky. You know, we had a good time.
So some of the roots for This Note's for You
Yeah, some of that were in there.
could have been in the Minor Birds. When did you buy that hearse, the very famous hearse that's now part of rock and roll history?
Oh yeah. Well, the first one I bought back in 63 or 64, I guess, and then the second one I must have bought in 66.
Which one
two
was
of
the
them.
Pontiac?
Pontiac was 66. I was a Buick I had there before that.
Why a hearse? I mean, why would you put a
Good for
hearse?
carrying equipment.
Oh,
Bigger than a station wagon.
I've never owned a hearse, so I don't know.
No, well, they're a very cool thing to have. They have a tray. You can put all your equipment in there. You just roll it out. It's got rollers. You roll the stuff in and out. It's perfect.
So you think I should get a hearse for my
I think everyone should have a hearse at home, you know.
a hearse in every garage?
It's in every garage. I think America and, you know, in Europe also. Although I don't remember seeing that many old hearses over in Europe when I was over there.
Yeah.
Maybe they do something different over there.
I don't know what they do
What do bands do over there to get around?
without a hearse. And but you actually got in this hearse and drove to LA.
Yeah,
Who was with you? Was it Richard?
Bruce Palmer.
Oh, okay. You just decided LA's the place?
Yeah.
And got in the hearse?
Mm-hmm.
Rolled your equipment into it?
Rolled our equipment into it and went across the border at Sault Ste. Marie. Told the people at the border that we were going down to, that we were going across Canada. And we just wanted to dip down into the States because the highways are so good down here. And they went for it, you know. Kind of, you know, appealing to their kind of ego, you know, like, you got great highways. So we want to use your highways. If we're really just using the highway, then we're going back home, you know. And we went straight south.
We just want to use your highways to get to LA.
Right.
You understand.
Then we got stopped in Texas. The guy says, all right, where's your draft card? Oh, we don't have draft cards where we come from. You know, and he let us go. I couldn't believe it. We had Ontario plates. We said, we're just on a trip, you know. We're just going on a trip. And they let us, a bunch of kids in a hearse. And he let us go, this Texas state trooper. We were terrified.
Well,
We
that's
had all kinds of things in the car with us, too. It was really devastating. We were shaking in our boots.
this is an amazing story.
The
You-
60s.
The 60s, right. You get to LA, you meet up with, well, you knew Stephen back in Canada?
I met Stephen in Canada about a year before we got to LA.
Now, is
Just
this
passed through a club. He was going one way in the headlining group, and I was going another way in my band, which was working there Saturday afternoons. We had a dance party in the afternoon we used to play at, and we made, we clear like $40 or something, which gave us enough money to pay for our rooms at the YMCA and food for a week for 3 guys.
unbelievable? Is this a true story? You're driving right down here, right here on
Yeah,
Sunset
pretty close, about, 2 miles up the road.
in the hearse.
Yeah, and he saw the hearse. He didn't, it wasn't the same hearse but he saw a hearse with Ontario plates, and he said, "Oh, no, it's got to be him." And he was trying to get a group together. He had already gotten Richie down here. And so we just heard this guy yelling, and I looked out there, and God, there he was. Stephen.
And what did he say to you?
Come on, let's go. Come over here. So we pulled over and we got out and we hugged and he said, "What are you doing?" And we said, "We're going to San Francisco." He said, "Don't go to San Francisco, stay here. And we'll play and see what we can get going." We were on our way out of town.
And that was the beginning of the Buffalo Springfield.
Yeah.
What do you think of that group? What do you think their impact and influence was on rock and roll?
Well, I don't know. I don't have a good perspective on that.
How do
I
you
think other people have
Mm.
more of an idea. How I feel about it was it was 18 months. But in retrospect, it seemed that 18 months seemed like about 10 years. I mean, because we were so young, it was an important 18 months. Everything was happening for the first time. So you remember all the details.
do you still like the songs?
Oh, yeah, they're really good songs. It was a good group.
Mm-hmm.
And we never had a gold record, or we never really got a lot of acclaim. And we didn't last very long.
Steven says you didn't make any money either.
No.
But you're one of the most important groups. I mean, people say that's what started the whole country rock. Buffalo Springfield was the father of that movement. So
Yeah.
I guess it's a claim in retrospect.
Yeah. Hindsight is 20/20.
Do you dislike having a claim in retrospect?
Nah, I don't care.
Then there was Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Now, how did you decide?
Actually, then there was Crazy Horse.
Right. Well, I mean, for you, yes, that's true. I mean, with you, there's so many things. It is like a maze. You go through and you follow the history, and you need somebody to walk you through it all. But Crosby, Stills, and Nash, when you joined them, what made you decide to join them?
Ellie came and asked me. And, it was okay. It sounded like a good idea.
What do you think of that group when you think back?
That was a big group. Made a lot of, friends.
Then you get gold records and money and acclaim.
Yeah. But I had a gold record. Everybody knows This Is Nowhere was gold just about the time I joined Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Right.
And then after that, I mean, there's no doubt that joining that group gave me some kind of mass acceptance. The recognition. People still recognize me as a member of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young before they recognize me as Neil Young. I mean, a certain type of people, who are, like, for instance, the entertainment editor of like the Honolulu Advertiser or something will go, "Oh, yeah." They see me down there watching somebody's concert or something, and then they put a picture of me in the paper, a little picture about this big from, like who knows what year. And they, Neil Young, formerly of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, that combo of yesteryear,
But that group has such a hold on I guess our imaginations, our musical emotions, that it's still, I mean, every time you guys get together again, it's like a big deal. And every time you broke apart, it was a big deal. And now there is going to be a new, I mean, you're working on it now, aren't you? According to Graham and Stephen, last time I saw them,
Mhm.
Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young album in the works.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about that?
Oh, it's in the works. It's happening. And I don't know what to say about it other than I think it's great. I think it'll be a great record.
You had said, as soon as David gets it together,
Yeah,
we'll all get together.
that's right.
So David has gotten it completely
That's right.
together. Have you actually started recording, or is
Mhm.
you're not gonna tell me anything, are you?
Nah.
I'm trying so hard.
It's it's gonna be a really great record.
When's it gonna be out?
I think it'll be out in the fall.
You and Steven, this will be, well, I guess we can't count them, but just in terms of different formations. There was Buffalo Springfield. There was the album you did together in '76. Interestingly, I heard the title track today on the way over here. Um, then there was Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Mm-hmm.
You guys seem to have a wonderful creative spark, and yet
I love playing with Steven. It's great to play with him. He's a great musician.
that there seem to be some other difficulties.
Not really. I mean, no more than there are with other people that I played with. You know, different people.
Well, they say that you left Buffalo Springfield because of problems with Steve.
Not really. I think I left Buffalo Springfield because I was 21 or 22 years old and I'd already been with him for 18 months. I wanted to make my own records. In those days, there was no such thing as a group with a guy making solo records at the same time. That was unheard of.
And now it's very common.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the '76 tour didn't last very long between with you two. Again,
Right.
the rumors were that you had problems.
No, we really didn't have problems between ourselves, but there were problems were created by other people that, I mean, we were still getting along well and playing well and everything, but there were things that were happening that were destroying Steven's confidence and his ability to deal with the situation. And outside things were happening, and they were caught. He's a tormented artist. He's affected greatly. He's like a light bulb without any glass around it. He's like a filament, and things happen, and it really affects him. He hasn't got much of an outer shell, and he's really defenseless to a lot of things that people don't realize how easy it is to hurt him. People say things and stuff like that, and because he's really like a tough guy, but he's not really that tough because he has real feelings and he's a real soulful man. He could be one of the great blues men of our time, if he puts his mind to just doing that. Yeah, but uh, so people said things, people wrote things about us and stuff like that, and he was affected by it, and then he lost perspective on what was really happening and started putting out negative things to the audience and this and that. So I thought that it was time to call it a day.
You did.
Yeah. But
David?
I mean, I loved him, and it was too bad that it had to happen that way. But I think for both of us, it was best, and for everyone concerned except the audience.
David, Graham, and Stephen particularly have all said to me recently, several times, I've interviewed them recently quite a bit, different events and things, about this project, that while there's a certain magic to Crosby, Stills, and Nash, a certain special magic, there's something even greater, even more magical that happens when it's the four of you.
It's a different thing. It's a totally different thing. It's just it's two different things. That's how I look at it, and it's a great thing. We're doing it.
So you feel that too, that there's something magical.
Oh yeah, I feel really good about it. When it's right, it's really right. And what we're doing here now is we're trying to capture those moments and put them on tape. And we're doing a good job, and it takes time, and we're doing it. And we're not settling for any less than that.
So do you have the flame?
We see the flame, and we have it and we don't have it.
So you try to capture it
When it's there is what we keep.
That's great. with the solo career with Buffalo Springfield, Crosby, Stills and Nash, the new album, and everything that you've done over the past. Well, let's go all the way back to the ukulele in '58. I mean, why not, right? So let's make it the whole 30 years, the whole scene in Toronto. What do you think of as your finest musical moments?
No, last night, I guess. You're only as good as your last performance, really.
So that was it.
That's it.
That's okay. I mean, I can't redo
Someone,
that. That
there's
was
someone out on the street agreeing with me.
I was like, "Ugh." What do you think has been your greatest adventure?
Greatest adventure. Thank you.
Mhm.
Well, my greatest adventure. Boy, there's so many different kinds of adventures, just blanket. My greatest adventure of all time.
Well, pick pick
What?
the one you want to share with us. The greatest adventure that I'd like to share
Yeah,
with
right.
you.
Let's see now. Which one can I even say?
Right, it has to be one you can say on TV.
Yeah, right. Well, you got to do a show called Stump the Stars. I think you got a real shot at it.
You want to think about this?
Yeah, maybe in a couple of years I'll be back with that one, folks.
How about right now, your biggest goal?
My biggest goal is short range goal is to do a great show tonight and to be relaxed and play the best I can.
Long range?
Uh, long range goal is to live a long time so that I can take care of my children and uh, and take care of my family.
Sounds good. Let's go back to the album before we wrap this up so that, we'll redo those original questions. Such spontaneity and verve.
Huh. You'll like the original ones better when you look at it. I want this may be an outtake, but let me tell you, whoever you are editing this mess, okay, that you're going to go back to the originals and you're going to say, well, the sound is not as good as the second answers, but we like the feeling the first time, so we're going to go with it anyway because it's more spontaneous. Mark my words.
This note's for you. Is a departure for you, a blues direction. Why did you choose to do that at this time?
Well, I just did it because it felt good. It was part of an evolution of things that happened. It brought me around to this kind of music again. It's always been in my life, and I wanted to do it.
You strongly influenced by that, the blues?
Well, I in high school used to listen to Jimmy Reed, and he was really one of my big favorite blues men. I don't know if you know. Do you know who Jimmy Reed is?
I've heard the name, but I don't.
Hey, yeah. He's from Houston, I believe, in Texas. Played a K electric guitar and a harmonica on a rack, and they're just so great. He wrote his song called "Baby, What You Want Me to Do." Got me peeping, got me high, deep high. Remember that song? Well, anyway, I love a great song. And I love that kind of music. It's blues, boogie blues, electric blues, Muddy Waters, Bobby Blue Bland. I've listened to this music all my life. I just never had a band that could play it.
How did you put together a band that could play it?
Well, it just evolved. When I had the Shocking Pinks, when we did that old rock and roll show, uh, there was a section of that where we had a horn section just for a while, where the guy who played the manager of the band, came out and gave away a few records, and then picked up a baritone sax, and then the piano player picked up a trumpet, and we had a sax player already. So we had three horns, So we did a couple of songs like that, and we did a lot of blues in the Shocking Pinks in the show. And there's some blues on the record too. So that it goes back at least that far on my records where you can see that happening. And in my life, it goes way back to the beginning. In high school, I used to play blues with my band. That's the way I started.
So you didn't start as a folk, sort of.
Not with a band, no. When it was in it, the folk thing came along after the band.
Now, you said that you were on the road with the garage band tour and you did a sort of a blues section.
Yeah, well, actually, after the garage band tour, I took Crazy Horse to Europe and did a tour of places in Europe playing for you know mm, people all over Europe, little venues, played in some tents and stuff like that. People over there, they said, "Well, what have you done since Harvest? You know, have you been making any other road? Tell me, what have you done for the last 12 years?" Questions like that. And I made a movie about it, about the tour called Muddy Track, which is really the last days of Crazy Horse. Like it shows that tour, and I haven't released it or done anything with it yet. But it's not really a movie; it's a 80-minute video. But I just recently completed that, and the tour was like a nightmare. But they canceled shows on us and everything. It was really like a depressing experience. But then we came back to the States and sold everything out all the way around and everything. And during that tour, we had dropped the garage thing. We were just playing. I used to come out and I'd do half an hour acoustic by myself. And then I did 3 or 4 songs with the guys would come out and we'd do a blues kind of a thing, a club kind of a thing with a baritone sax, organ, bass, guitar, and drums. And then we'd do the Crazy Horse set. And then by then, it was getting to be kind of old doing the Crazy Horse set for me. I'd done the garage tour, and we had the Life album just out, and I'd done it. And so I was found myself feeling like I wasn't really delivering. But during the blues section of the thing, I went nuts. And they'd just get this other guy who was just dying to live. And um, I listened back to the tapes because we record everything. And it was only the blues things that I wanted to hear. So I said, that's what we're going to do now. We're just going to take this as far as we can take it.
You've been pressured, I know, in the past by record companies that you've been with to do what's commercial. You're an artist who insists on doing what's true to your art and artistic. Do you ever find that a difficult dichotomy?
No, it's not difficult for me. It's difficult for the record company sometimes. But now that I'm at Reprise, um, I'm going to do what I like to do, and they support me, and I have ultimately just have real support, which is hopefully I'll have now for the rest of my recording life. And I'm also going to try to set the record straight on what I was trying to do during the last 7 years or 6 years. In decade 2, I'm going to try to recreate the actual flow that I was trying to get going.
What is
Yeah. Well, what is what?
what is that you're trying to show?
Well, all my records that I put out on Geffen were manipulated one way or another by the company by rejecting what I first gave them or telling me that it wasn't what they wanted or doing this or doing that. Every record I gave them. So, and the one that they didn't do that with, they cut off my money on before I was finished it. So, it just wasn't a compatible thing. I wasn't the product they were looking for. It was just a mismatch and a bad marriage. It was nobody's fault. I mean, they're doing great with Whitesnake. They're doing great with them. I mean, they're out there and they're delivering their kind of music, and it's a perfect vehicle for Geffen Records. But I'm just not right for them. So it's not that they were wrong or that I was wrong. It's just a total mismatch, a bad marriage, something that never should have happened.
Now, Reprise has said to you, "We'll tell you if we think it's commercial." Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm repeating this from something I've read. "We'll tell you if we think it's commercial, but we're just giving you our opinion. You're the artist. You're going to do what you want, and we support you." Is that true?
Well, they haven't said that in those words, but basically that's the way it's always been. That they're proud to present my products, my works to the audience. And if it's commercial, then they'll go the extra yards to make it for themselves and to make it for me and the people that work with me. But if it's not a particularly commercial thing, they're not gonna bury it, they're gonna present it with pride. I'm not gonna waste a bunch of money trying to promote it and if it isn't gonna sell,
Mm.
but they're gonna present it in a way that it's got some class,
What you said about, redoing this statement of what you've done over the past 7 years makes me feel that you have a certain that your body of work, which is very large and very extremely varied. I don't wanna say very varied because that sounds stupid.
And very, very, very
Very, very varied, extremely very
uh-huh.
varied. Uh, that it has a certain to you, even when we think, "My God, he's doing something," I know. When we think, "God, he's doing something so different and so unique," and to you, it's a part of the flow, it's a part of the package, it's a part of the it's not a jagged edge, it's a straighter line than we might see it. Is that did I make any sense just now?
Uh, well, I think so. I kind of agree with that.
So you're
Well, was that a question? No, I asked.
so it was, yeah, I wanted you to sort of elaborate and say if that was really accurate.
Well, it's just that the flow of my work over that period of time, it may be that I can never correct it, but I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna try to go back through those years and put together something that represents what I was doing. So decade 2 should represent a lot. There will be, uh, as there was in decade 1, there will be a lot of things that weren't released, and things will be moved around and put into a so as you listen to it all the way through, you'll get an idea of what was happening really, not what came out.
Right. You'll get it.
Yeah, you should yeah, I mean, it's not gonna be that much different, but it is a little different.
If you were to describe Neil Young, the artist, going along these lines with this body of work and with what you know is coming, what would you say?
So I'm really lucky,
Why?
just, because I've been able to do so many things, and I'm still doing it. And then, a lot of the people who I knew when I started out aren't even here anymore.
How about Neil Young, the man?
What is this Stump the Stars Part 2? Huh. We'll be right back with another stumper. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I feel good. I'm doing what I like to do.
That's great. What do you expect for yourself in the future and for us from you?
Well, I think I'm probably going to do, another Blue Notes album, and, continue recording for Reprise. I look forward to a long and healthy relationship with them. And I look forward to, no, this is purely on a professional level what I'm talking about. I look forward to doing some acting. I have a few offers for things that I think are going to be interesting.
Great.
And I like making films. I'm going to make another film. This a Blue Note film should be an interesting project for us. Tim Hutton and I are doing. And then on the other side, I just want to watch my kids grow up and just take care of my family, keep it all together, try to maximize the safety and security of my family from whatever successes I might have in my professional life.
How about Crosby, Stills, Nash& Young? Will there be a tour as well as the album?
At this time, I'm not committed to doing a tour with them.
So we're just no, we're gonna get the record.
Yeah, you know you're going to get a record.
And you are going to be at the Atlantic Records.
No, I'm
Yeah?
not going to be at the Atlantic Records. And no one ever asked me about that.
Oh.
I was never at this office. My office and we were never presented with any options. We heard about it first when we read about it, and it's just not in the cards.
'Cause I read it too, that's why I thought you would
Yeah,
be there.
yeah, we're not going to be there. I don't even know if Crosby, Stills, and Nash are going to be there. I don't think they knew about it. I don't know what that's about. I really don't know what that's about.
So you read about it in the same place I did.
Yeah,
Probably, yeah.
yeah, and it's just one of those things. I'm not ready. I don't think Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young is ready to live up to what people expect from it. And until that is happening, there won't be any tour.
But doing the record is, I think.
Doing the record is really great, and then making the record, we can concentrate on capturing the fine moments as they happen and preserving them, and that's the art of making a record. That's a whole other different thing from a live appearance.
Will you be in Europe with the Blue Notes?
I don't know. I don't have any plans.
Is this
Depends on the reception of the record and how things go and everything. We've seen over the years, I've seen people tell me that the things were going to be great and everything, and then and reception in the audience was good among the people that liked it, but there weren't very many of them, and that doesn't warrant making big trips and going places and stuff. It costs a lot of money to go over there, and I'm not going to go over there and play anything else other than the Blue Note stuff. And this is what I'm doing now.
right?
I've already done the greatest hits tour.
Do people ever say, "Oh, I expected," that get up in the audience and say, "What about Heart of Gold?"
Well, I did Heart of Gold. I've done it a lot of times, and I'm not saying I'm not going to do it again in the right circumstances, but my head's not into it now. I'd just be faking people out. I don't care what they expect from me. I'm only going to do what I want to do because, I want them to expect me to do what I want to do, and then I can satisfy them.
That's great. That's a great way to end with that message to the audience.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you very much for being with us. And please don't break down yet. If I can get you to do a couple of these little promos, this, okay,
So there's 3 of them now.
right. And the third one doesn't need to be done to TV. It only needs to be done for sound. So if you can close that door, Lucy.
Okay.
Okay.
So do I say my name or I just say, no, it's
Yeah,
like radio.
yeah.
Yeah, right. Hi, you're watching the UK Top 10. Hello. That's good. That was a good one, but it was too short. Okay, no, uh, yeah. Hello, I'm Neil Young. Watch for my latest video on the UK Top 10. I don't know how to do those. I feel so phony.
Oh, no, I thought that was real good.
Really?
Yeah.
Ni hao.
That means hello in Chinese. This is
Oh.
for a radio show that I do. It's the first.
Oh, this is a radio show?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what she's pointing out. The first American.
Okay, here we go. Ni hao, China. This is Neil Young, and it's a great privilege to be communicating with all of you in the People's Republic of China. I'd like to play you one of my records. This note's for you.
Oh, that's great. And now if we can do one last one, which I'll do most of, I'll just come over there and here we'll put in